used to be one of the most inconsistent people that I knew. I was on and off with the gym. I'd say I'm not going out the weekend, and then I'd go out. I'd say I'm going to get up tomorrow at a certain time, and I'd snooze the alarm. I tried getting to running. I tried to stick to a diet, but I could never remain consistent or keep my word with anything. Now, don't get me wrong. A big factor of that was the fact that I was going on a 2-day bender and I was suffering for the next 3 days. So being, at your head for 5 to 7 days of the week is gonna ensure that you are not consistent. But even with that said, even when I started to make some progression and cut down how much I was going at, I never really remained consistent to anything. Today, however, is a complete different story. I feel like I'm overly consistent with all of the things that I say I'm going to do, and it is because I've put these things in place. The first thing was just having some important goals. You need a clear aiming point and something that means something to you. In the past, I would just make empty promises. I'm getting up at 5 o'clock. I'm going to start eating healthy. I'm going to stay in at the weekend. And all of these things just sounded like a good idea in the moment. And don't get me wrong, I could stick to it sometimes. But as soon as the going got tough, I'd start to question anything. Why am I getting up this early anyway? Why am I running? This is hard. What's the point going to the gym? Why am I staying at the weekend? And that is when that inconsistency started to creep in. Everything started to change for me when I put clear goals in place that had a strong reason why. So instead of just saying, I'm going to start running, I'm going to eat healthy, I'm going to go to the gym, I'm going to stand at the weekend, I'm going to get up early, I had a clear goal attached to all of these things. So if I wanted to start running, what was the goal? I'm going to work towards my first half marathon. If I wanted to start eating healthy and go to the gym, I am going to lose X amount of weight. Then it was like, what is the goal for staying in at the weekend? What is the reason for you to stay in at the weekend? What is holding you accountable over the weekend? And then same for getting up early in the morning. I'm going to get up at 5 o'clock tomorrow, but on the back of that, I'm going to go to the gym, which is attached for that goal. So it's just having a clear goal in place. But then most importantly, having a deep emotional reason why you want to achieve that goal. I want to stand at the weekend to achieve this goal because X. Why? Why am I getting up at 5 o'clock? Why do I want to start running? Why do I want to train? Why do I want to get in shape? It's really understanding the deep reasons why you want to achieve all of the goals that you want. Because otherwise you just end up making empty promises to yourself. Everything sounds like a good idea, but if you haven't got a clear goal and you haven't got a strong why, sticking to it is going to be very hard to do. So the first step is simple. Have a clear goal and a strong why. Now, this second thing is just as, if not more important than having that goal and that strong reason. And it's having a solid plan. It's knowing exactly what you need to do to achieve your goal. So for example, if your goal is to run a marathon, having the goal is great. But everyone can have the goal of running the marathon. The person that achieves that marathon at the best of their ability has a solid plan, has a solid system that allows them to do so. So for example, if your goal is to run the marathon, if you want to stay consistent with the training, understand exactly what you've got to do and when you've got to do it. For example, when I'm training for a marathon, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday and Saturday between 5 and 6:30 a.m, my runs are scheduled in. Then let's say we have Tuesday, Thursday and Friday between 5 and 6:30 to do your strength training. On the Thursday, might have to adjust it to a different time. Then let's say you want to stretch. How many days a week do you want to stretch? And at what time are you going to stretch and at what day? Let's say you want to look after your nutrition and you want to stay consistent with your nutrition. What days are you meal prepping? Monday, Wednesday, Saturday, and at what time are you going to meal prep? And then what you have to do before you go into your week or your day, just block these non-negotiable actions into your calendar. So on my calendar, for example, it says Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, my running days. The other days, my strength days. The other days, the meal prep, the stretching. I have my goals and then I have all of these blocks of times that allow me to achieve my goals. You can have a goal, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to remain consistent to achieve it. But I promise you, if you've got a goal in place, you've got a strong reason, you put this plan in place and you do this next step, This is what's going to enable you to build the consistency that you want in your life. Number 3 is just keeping your word. When you say you're going to do something, do it. If I'm honest with you, I think this is the most important one. But as I said earlier, I like to give discipline or keeping my word a helping hand. If I've got a goal in place, if I've got a strong reason why, and I've got a solid structure, all I have to do is then stick to the things that I say that I'm going to do. And I know that if I stick to my behaviors, I stick to my actions, it's going to enable me to achieve my goal. But why I like to put the goal, the why, and the plan in place first, because I don't like making empty promises. When you keep your word to yourself, you build self-trust, you build respect, you build confidence, you build discipline. And if you keep your word every single day, that is how you build consistency. But I don't like to lead with that because, as I said in the past, I was just saying I was going to do stuff. Tomorrow I'm going to get up early. Tomorrow I'm going to go to the gym. But I didn't have any goals. I didn't have a strong why. And I didn't have a set plan. And by putting these things in place, it made keeping to my word a lot more easier. So when you say you're getting up, get up. When you say you're going to train, train. When you say you're going to stay in, stay in. When you say that you're going to eat healthy, eat healthy. Commit to everything that you say that you're going to do. Why is this important? As I said, if you keep your word every single day, you build consistency. By you keeping your word to yourself, you build discipline. By you keeping your word to yourself, you start to trust yourself. You start to believe in yourself. But then most importantly, you start to build habits. And if you start to build enough habits, you'll start to build evidence that suggests you are the person that you say that you are. And this leads me into the next step. I've built so many habits in my life, it's enabled me to change my identity. And because my identity's changed, it's easier for me to remain consistent. I run because I see myself as a runner. I train every day because I see myself as someone that is fit, healthy, and strong. I don't drink alcohol because I see myself as someone as sober. I don't smoke because I don't see myself as a smoker. I get up at 4:30 or 4 o'clock every day because I see myself as an early morning riser. I work hard because I see myself as a successful person. And because my identity are these things, showing up and doing it is so much easier. Yes, it still has resistance. Yes, there's hard days. Yes, I have to remain disciplined. But I'm consistent because it's a part of who I am. It feels weird and unnatural for me not to do these things. Just like you're someone that, brushes their teeth every single day. It would feel quite weird not to do so. Well, I hope so anyway. But that's the same for me. I run, I train, I eat healthy, I stay consistent with getting up, I work hard, I don't drink because my identity is of these things. And the most powerful force in the human personality is the need to stay consistent with how you define yourself. In the past, I defined myself as a party boy, Jack the lad. So what was I consistent with? Drinking, doing drugs, fighting, chasing women, so on and so forth. As I broke away from that identity and I stepped into this new identity, I wanted to be consistent with that. I wanted to be someone that was healthy, that was disciplined, that was consistent. And all I had to do was do the things that allowed me to be that person. And the more evidence I built by remaining consistent of that, I then started to see myself as that person. So I start practicing all of these things subconsciously. I'm just doing it because it's a part of who I am as a person. And that only comes from remaining overly consistent and seeing yourself as the person that you want to be. Now, before you go, I want to set you a little challenge. Because knowledge isn't power until it's applied. The first step is to set meaningful goals. And if you don't understand how to set goals, I made a previous video on the exact system that I use to set, plan, and achieve all of my goals. I recommend checking that out. The next step is once you've got your goals in place, understand the exact actions that you need to take every day and plan these in your schedule. Step number 3 is set yourself a 60 to 90 day challenge. Just a couple of habits that you would love to remain consistent with. It could be reading, journaling, exercising, eating healthy, getting up on time, whatever it is. But all I ask is make sure that they mean something to you and don't set too many at once. because a lot of people try and do too many things at once and they end up failing. So just pick 2 to 3. That is kind of the sweet spot when it comes to building habits. Step number 4, I'd love you to cut down or completely cut out bad habits that's going to get in the way of you being consistent. Now, I know that's quite a hard thing to do, but if you really want these goals and you want to achieve great things in life, this is an important step of this process. And in number 5, the most important thing, keep your word. Whatever you've got in place, whatever goals you have, whatever actions you've got to take, whatever habits that you want to build or bad habits you want to cut out, just keep your word. Keep your word until you achieve your goals, you build these habits, and you become the person that you want to be in life. I have no doubt that if you implement these steps that I've given you today, you will remain consistent and become the person you want to be.